On.
Recording in progress.
Uh, Colleagues, good morning. And it's now 10 o'clock. Brian, may you present the agenda of the meeting, please? Thank you very much, Brian. We have
Chairperson, have I lost you or?
Sorry, I'm back. It was load shedding at 10. I'm sorry.
Chair, you are muted.
Brian, do we have Honorable Mutley on the line, on the group? Maybe he can proceed in the meantime.
Yeah, I'm in the meeting. And good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Mutley.
Yeah, Brian will just check with the chair maybe and give us an indication.
Okay. Brian, sorry. Brian, are you in the meeting?
Yes, I am, Chair.
All right. Okay. I think the problem is on this side then. All right. Tabo, are you in the meeting? Is Honorable Tabo in the meeting, Brian?
Yes,
Yes,
Chair,
he is.
Yes, he was just in the meeting just now.
Tabo, you'll take over if the system takes me out again, so that I don't delay the meeting. Let's open the meeting and declare it. Thank you. Let me declare the meeting open and welcome all those present. Let me just check who is on the platform. The DM is on the platform. DM, good morning.
Honorable Chair and honorable members, good morning. Thank you.
Thank you. And from the DOD, from the defense side, I can see the Chief HR. I think you will introduce the team. Let me just leave it at that. From AMSCO, I see Mr. Crisel. I don't know who else is from AMSCO. And from the AG's office, let me just check who is there from the AG's office. And Brian, I don't see who.
Morning, Chair, members. I'm here with my colleagues.
Oh, yes, Ms. Sotetsi. from the AG. Thank you very much. All right. So I think all the stakeholders in the meeting, and then the colleagues, I think we do have the quorum. Can I confirm that, Brian?
That is correct, Chair.
Thank you very much. Without much ado, yes.
Chair, good morning. Good morning,
Yes.
Chair and members of the committee. I am with the Chief of Staff here, but
yeah. Thank you very much, and welcome, Executive, with the Chief of Staff, and both of you. Thank you. My apologies. Thank you. So maybe before I do anything, Acting Executive, you are here in the meeting with the Chief of Staff. Let me just give the opportunity to either yourself or, to yourself, if there's anything that the Chief of Staff would want to say, you will also have the opportunity to do so immediately after you. Over to you, Acting Executive.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you to the members of the Portfolio Committee, and good morning and good evening to the DM. We on the platform is also a acting Deputy Chief Army, Major General McHugh, who has presented who has made a presentation before on this matter. So she will be supporting ourselves, Chief of Staff, as well as the Chief of Human Resources, who will take us through. I and the Chief of Staff will assist wherever we can after the presentation that will be made by Chief of HR. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Chief of Staff, do you want to say one or two?
No, thanks. Thank you very much, Chairperson. I'm covered by the Acting Secretary. We will talk then at the end if there's a need for anything that we must respond to. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much. Who do I call for the presentation? Is the Acting Deputy Chief of the Army? Or do I call the Chief?
No, Chair, is Chief Army, is Chief of HR, Admiral Kubuche.
Okay, no, thank you very much. Admiral, their platform is yours.
Thank you very much, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, and let me also recognize Deputy Minister of Defense and members of the Portfolio Committee, honorable members, Acting Secretary, Chief of Staff, and the team that will be assisting me today is Deputy Chief Army, as already highlighted by the Acting Secretary, and General Manyatsa, who is the project team, and that will be taking us through the presentation. Chair, I think I just need to start by saying, since our last meeting, when we engaged with the Portfolio Committee, we did commit to go and regularize the process of the call-up of the members on the that were called during the period of the unrest, and then those members that we believe are from Umzimvubu regiment. Subsequent to our deliberations, you did obviously indicate that we will come back and give a progress report in terms of where we are, with the understanding that we will obviously regularize and pay after we as HR are comfortable with the process. And I repeat that, Chair, because that was what you indicated to myself, to say we need to be comfortable that whatever we're going to be doing is in line with our processes and policies and procedures. And we have taken that into consideration, and we set a as a team, we worked through the documentation that were presented to us as HR by the SA Army. And those documentations include the Board of Inquiry, because we had to look at the Board of Inquiry, see what the Board of Inquiry has established and what are the recommendations of the Board of Inquiry. We can confirm that the Board of Inquiry also had legal inputs in the document, which we also have taken into consideration in us trying to regularize this particular process. We want to confirm that, yes, a due process was not followed in terms of the call-up. There is a strict process when you call up the reserve, including your Part 1 and Part 2 orders that you need to have, and also to make sure that the people that you're calling are actually in date. And in date means that their medicals, etc., should also have been in place, but also they are still active members of the reserve. We do have members who are no longer active members in the reserve. Some of them, you'll find that they have not been called up for a long period of time. So you also need to factor that when you call up the members as well. But there is a regulation that governs the reserve. We can confirm that majority of the processes that were supposed to be followed was not followed, and we had to regularize, unfortunately, an irregular process to formalize and finalize this unfortunately ugly situation that we find ourselves. But we follow due process, Chair, and members of the Joint Standing Committee, to make sure that we bring on board the Minister. And I had a number of meetings with the Minister and take the Minister through the process. And subsequent to my deliberations with the Minister, we have agreed to proceed with what we are going to be presenting to yourself today in terms of the payments of the people, but obviously following a process of audit, etc., etc. So this is where the report that we are going to be giving to yourself after the Minister has signed the submission. And the Minister was very clear in the submission that consequence management need to be exercised on this particular issue. She was very clear on this particular matter. So, but today we're not dealing with the consequence management. We're only dealing with the formal process from HR perspective in terms of how are we going to finalize this process, where we are, etc., in terms of the payments of the people that were called for that particular period. I've got General Manyatsa, who's I appointed as a project leader of this exercise, and will be taking us through the presentation. General Manyatsa, you may proceed.
General Manyatsa, just before he comes in, I forgot to tender the Minister's apology. She is at Cabinet. I will take other apologies once we are done with this first presentation. I forgot to have them noted. Over to you, General Manyatsa.
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity. Thank you, Chief of Human Resource, to the Deputy Minister, the Secretary for Defense, the Chief of Staff, the Acting Chief of the South African Army, and the members of the Portfolio Committee on Defense and Military Veterans. A refreshing morning to you all. Is
it possible to set the video on, unless colleagues it interferes?
I can.
With the system.
Can, sir?
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
So that I will recognize you in the street.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Without much ado, as the Chief of Human Resources has alluded to, I see the presentation is not flashed. If it may request for that.
On our side, General, you want us to do it? Or you'll do it on your side?
I thought they would do that side, sir.
Okay. Brian, is it possible to do so? right. So please, in a presentation mode, Brian. You may continue, General, as he tries to put it in a presentation mode.
A presentation mode.
Yes, you can use your
Thank you,
own
Chair.
note. Thank you.
Correct. Without much ado, I will shoot straight to the aim and scope for our briefing this morning, which is to provide a progress report to the Portfolio Committee on Defense and Military Veterans on the enrollment and remuneration of over 815 members who were called up, otherwise utilized by Umzimvubu Regiment during Operation Prosper, which was during July unrest in 2021. And our scope is quite brief, is basically to provide progress which has been made by the Department of Defense in this regard, and we will naturally conclude. The Board of Inquiry number 42 of 2021, in terms of the circumstances which led to the reporting over 815 members at Umzimvubu Regiment, we can confirm that it has been finalized and reviewed by Director Military Prosecutions. The consequence management, which was central to the decision of the Minister and obviously the Board of Inquiry in respect of non-compliance with the prescripts and remuneration of members who participated in Operation Prosper, as well as the implementation of recommendation by the Board of Inquiry, we can confirm that they will be enforced. Authority to regularize the enrollment and remuneration granted by the Minister of Defense and Military Veterans and operationalization thereof by the Chief of Human Resources, I can confirm that they are in place. The audit team, which is led by me, comprising of the South African Army Headquarters, the SA Army Infantry Formation, the Human Resource Division, which includes the System Information Personnel, and the State Information Technology, comprising of the subject matter experts and application support and technical support, has been established in order to ensure the correct payments, notwithstanding what the Board of Inquiry has established. The audit process has to date confirmed that instead of 815, there are actually 814 members due to duplicate names. Now, how are we dealing with the audit currently? When we got the false numbers, we threw them back onto the system so that it can validate the correctness of the false numbers. Hence, we arrived at 814, and where we noted that one member was indicated as both a lance corporal and a rifleman. In the absence of all other documentations that are required as prescribed in the Defense Act and other regulations, the work attendance registers or roll call registers are used as a source document to ensure the correct payments. To date, we can confirm that the 106 files that meet all the audit requirements have been completed and are in the process of being remunerated, while 708 files are still being audited. And the purpose for this is particularly the auditing of the files. There are personnel who reported alleging that they are also soldiers. And upon the audit, we realized that approximately 22 of them were never in the Department of Defense before or have never integrated. And therefore, it means these members then will have to be enlisted as an auxiliary service, which is the same system which was used during COVID-19. And in order to create their false numbers for payments, you would require their ID numbers also the tax numbers. The payment of members who meet the audit requirements is scheduled for 15 March 24 according to our plan. Payment of 2 members with recoverable departmental debts will be put on hold while we are finalizing the recovery process. And this was also as a result of the audit process, where we are also involving the chief paymaster to see who of these people could possibly still be serving. And we picked up that there were 2 members with recoverable debts, which we have to process before the payment can be processed. Furthermore, there are 18 members who are deceased, and their payments will also be put on hold until the correct beneficiaries have been confirmed. And I can confirm that we are also using the death certificate as the only source to determine that indeed these members are deceased. The estimated expenditure will be 23 million, and it was based on the duration of the operation at the time, which should have been from the 12th of July until the 12th of October 2021. In conclusion, the audit process will ensure that the Umzimvubu regiment members are correctly remunerated. I submit, Chair.
Thank you very much, General. Colleagues, the presentation was brief, is on the table, but before I ask you to make your comments, Chief HR, is that it?
Yes, Chair, that's in terms of the progress report, Chair. We also want to confirm that the process is a bit slow because of the number of process that we follow in terms of the audit process. But I think we have found ourselves as the team in terms of now moving forward. And I think for now, between now and the end of this month, or beginning of next month, we should be able to move from the number that we just indicated today and to probably a bigger number. We're still planning, Honorable Chair, to make sure that at least by end of March, majority is paid, not necessarily only the 106 that we're talking about, because as we do the audit, we also do the payments now. So the numbers might seem a little bit low now as 106, but obviously every day there are finalized audit process that we can obviously assure the committee to saying the numbers will start increasing as we go along. I submit, Chair. We can take questions or clarifications if there are any.
Thank you very much. I have 2 hands on the board. Honorable Thabo and then Honorable Mare. Honorable Thabo Mutle.
Thank you very much, Chair. I will not put on the video because network it's very weak. Chair, let's appreciate the presentation and the work that the department under the division of Admiral Kubu, they are putting to resolve this matter. However, we must indicate that the pace is slow. We have been seized with this matter since it was brought to our attention after the unrest. Coupled with that, Chair, will they share with us what they have learned? Because obviously this process exposes the system of the division led by Admiral Kubu. As and when they are resolving this matter, what is it that they are doing to strengthen the system so that we are ascertain that because we are aware currently there are internal deployments and we're not sure whether how long will they last and how much will they need assistance, and just to assure us that the system is not vulnerable, we will not find ourselves in the same situation where we have to deal with a similar matter in future, by them strengthening their system, because this indeed could have been avoided. Somebody did not do checks and balances to an extent where you have deployed people who are not in your system, who cannot be traced to have been members before of both the reserve or any other formation that is integrated to the defense force as and when they need manpower. So that is a very serious concern. And as much as they address this matter, that must be addressed so that we don't have a recurrence in the future. Thank you very much.
It is a serious risk to both the army and the public. And I think you are right. I take your point. I'm sure they will comment on that. Honorable Mare.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the presentation. Admiral Kubu has obviously preempted some of my questions, but I will get to that. My first point is consequence management. Obviously, these 815 or 814 individuals didn't just turn up on their own accord, from their own decision. There were certain decisions being made by not only Umzimvubu Regiment Officer Commanding, I think it was Colonel Keating, but also people higher up in the SA Army who have approved that. We have seen all the photographs of the generals, meeting at Umzimvubu Regiment with these individuals that turned up, these 814. And it seems like there are no consequences for, or at least a process to determine why some of them have approved or underwritten, the call of these people. So, and I don't see anything in that regard, and a feedback on that or a promise in that regard, because I mean, if we can't hold responsible and accountable the leadership for these mistakes, then how can you expect us to have a disciplined defense force by ordinary soldiers or infantry or lower ranks if the leadership gets away with things like this? Then secondly, yes, it has been incredibly slow. I mean, this year it will be 3 years since the call up, and only now, for the first time, we see that 105, 106 will be paid on 15th of March, which is incredibly slow. And I mean, despite promises, was it only subsequent to not only the Board of Inquiry, but the support and the approval of the Minister only January this year that they've actually started with this process of audit? Why so slow? And I just want to understand why this has happened so very slow. Then also, will this be funded from this year's budget, or do you require certain of the payments to be done in the next financial year? In other words, in April. So that will give us an indication of your strategy and why certain people will have to be moved over to April. And I hope that by that time we can conclude and finish this 814, that we can move on. Now, the payment of the 2 members with recoverable departmental debt. I know that this is an open meeting, so you will probably not give us the names of the individuals, but at least give us some of the circumstances what, you know, how does it happen that there are two members with recoverable debt? In other words, they owe the Defence Force money. How does that happen? That two of the 814 owe the department money? Is it because of that they have acted, you know, in good faith to make sure that there are certain resources, maybe food, maybe toilet paper, maybe whatever, available for these 814, and that has been seen as a recoverable debt? Or what are the circumstances? I don't understand how two people can turn up and they are actually been involved with the Defence Force or the Reserve Force and already owing us money. How did that happen? How did that happen? Just give us a feedback on that and how severe this is, and what is the extent of this recoverable debt, so that we can just understand what is going on. Yeah, I hope, can we then assume, Admiral Kubu, that by the end of this month that the audit will be finished, or when do you foresee that this audit process and verification process will be completed? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Admiral Kubu. Those were the two hands. I think we are done with the comments on I think the colleagues are noting progress, albeit it being slow. They wish it being speeded up, and because it's 3 years since the whole thing happened, and you are saying even in your report that some of the people who responded to your call have passed away, and without getting a cent from the service they provided during this collab. So we don't want more people to die even before they get their money, which is due to them, because they did provide a service, albeit it being, yeah, they provided a service to the department, save for the fact that the collab itself, in some instances, was done outside the prescripts. Yeah, so that's the issue. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and thanks to the questions from Honorable Thabo Motle and Honorable Mare. Yes, Chair, the slowness of the process we have accepted, and we are aware that we should have dealt with this issue a long time ago. But I also just want to confirm that when the problem was addressed by the Army at the time, HR was not part of the process, because we thought it is an internal thing from the Army side, until the Army obviously came to HR for HR to assist, and that's when we came on board. And it was almost towards the end of last year when HR came on board. But then we had to start obviously engaging the Army to find out the challenge and why we are where we are. So from HR perspective, we can safely say we have started the process also very late from our side, but we are a department, so we take the slowness as a departmental, slowness on the process, not as the Army. But subsequent to that, we had to obviously make sure that the minister also understand the problem. As you know, Honorable Chair, the minister signature, for her to be comfortable, had to be taken through the process, which we managed to do that after a few interactions with her. And she also has not been happy with why we are where we are and why we did such an irregular issue. So the minister had also to be comfortable as well in the process. And fortunately, with a number of interactions with the minister, we decided, you know what, let's not penalize the people, not punish the people. Let's pay whatever we can pay, but with what I indicated as consequence management. So I think from the departmental side, yes, if we probably started early understanding the problem and how big the problem was in the beginning, probably we should have dealt with it long time ago. But we are where we are now, and fortunately, we are dealing with the issues, and we should be able to finalize it. In terms of the lesson learned, Honorable Muslim, I think we also have learned as a department, and I'm saying obviously, and I'm obviously praying that the Army in particular have learned, because the collapse of the reserves are done at a decentralized level. They actually not being dealt with at a higher level, like with where we sitting, where the minister sit, where the chief sit, where SecDef sits. It's actually done at the lowest level. And I think we will be promulgating some instruction to this effect, because the regulations are there. We don't even have to go and redraft the regulation. They're very clear, and there's no confusion what needs to be done. But I think we think here it was people that probably because of the situation where we find ourselves during that period, when the chief of the army said, call as many people as you can, understanding the challenges that the country was facing at the time, people probably did not apply their mind. And I don't think it was done in bad faith, Honorable Chair. It was the urgent situation that we found ourselves in at the time, and then trying to get as many people, on the ground to try to assist the country where we could. And probably people did not really look at the processes at the time because it was an emergency. But we don't want to justify that process, because even when there are processes like those, or there is an urgent situation, or we find ourselves in a state of emergency, you still need to pause a bit for a minute or two and try to follow due process. So yes, the emergency situation probably has put us where we are, and we accept that the challenge of the army might have been genuine and not really the call-up of these people were not done in bad faith, except that people should have applied their mind. And that one we cannot really compromise or even try to say it should not really be taken seriously. The system, Onamutle, works better. You cannot call up the people that have been archived without going through the normal process. Once you are archived, you are in the reserve, and etc., and then your name is already been moved from being an active reserve force member and is archived. You have to go through a different process to get it activated again, and that's why the army would not have been able to pay the people. Even if they wanted to pay, they would not have been able to pay. The pain that we're going through now is to reinstate the people as if you are appointing them, cancel the transaction that already archived the individuals, and change the suffixes again. That process on itself takes a bit of time. When my people were talking to me, they said, Admiral, this thing takes us almost 5 days, plus minus, to correct from when the people from the system where the member have already been archived, we are inactive, to bring them again active in the system so that we can pay. Because the only way to pay them is when you activate their suffixes again and make sure now you can account to them again as active reserves and pay them. And that process on its own was taking a lot of time, and I could not also believe that it will take us almost plus minus those days that we're talking about. And I realized how complicated the system is. So it talks to what Oramutle was talking about, to say, you know, how do we make sure that the system is not vulnerable? I can confirm the system is definitely not vulnerable. Otherwise, we could have been able to pay within a short space of time. The fact that we could not pay within a short space of time and we have to go through this long process, it shows how, you know, user-friendly our system is and the check and balances on our system. And that I really appreciated once we started doing this process and start understanding now that this process or our system actually is more enhanced than we actually would believe it is. So I can safely say to the portfolio committee to say, we need not panic about the system. The system is actually geared to protect this type of issues. We're regularizing it now, or we're forcing it to do the payment because of where we are. Otherwise, the army would not have been able to do that. The regiment would not have been able to do even the payment. That's why we also involve SITA in terms of the process. It's only through the higher decisions and us guiding and giving instruction and working with SITA that we can actually correct the system to make sure that it does pay. So rest assured, Honorable Mutla, that the system is definitely not vulnerable in this case. Question from Honorable Marek. Yes, I will, as I indicated, the minister has already, on approval of the submission, made a comment to say want consequence management, and it is there documented on the submission to the army, to the chief at SNDF. And we will obviously be updating the minister in terms of that particular issue. And she's also indicated that she wants feedback on that particular issue. And the army is aware about what the minister wants. The chief SNDF is aware what the minister wants. And obviously, the minister will be appraised by the chief SNDF in terms of that particular matter. Yes, I did touch on the slowness. And I know, Honorable, you did comment on the people higher up. I will also not talk on that issue because it's also part of the consequence management. We know who are the people that have been cited in the board of inquiry, and the chief is also aware, Chief SNDF is also aware, and the chief of the army is also aware. So we're hoping that as part of consequence management, those people will be taken to task. We can confirm, yes, we started with the audit, proper audit, after the minister has signed. Because that's now when we had a mandate to start obviously going to look how we're going to compensate the people. Before the final signature of the minister, there was some work that the army was doing just to verify certain information, but it was not a proper audit, because the proper audit is when you want now to start paying. That's where now you require all the information. The army just checked whether those people were part of the members that were called up, etc., and checked the roll call registers, etc. But with us, it went deeper than that. The salaries of the people, the rank level of the people, all those other issues that had to be audited. And it became more comprehensive after the minister's signature was obtained. On the two members that are in the state, maybe let me leave this to Jana Manyata, because they're the one that knows all the technical issues without mentioning the names, maybe just to talk on that issue. And then after Jana Manyata, I'll hand back to the acting secretary or chief of staff if they want to say a word or two. Jana Manyata, if you can talk on the other two members.
Thank you, sir. I can confirm that the two members who are involved, I do have their names, but as you indicate, sir? Sir, Chair?
Yes, I'm listening.
Okay.
Yes, I'm still available.
Okay, thank you, sir. I was saying we do have the two names that are requested, but as the chief of HR said, maybe it's not necessary to mention, but I can mention the amounts involved. The one member owes 5,675.71, while the other member owes 38,739. Now, how did we get through to this? As I've indicated earlier, in order to ensure that we are paying the correct members, we throw these members back into the system and we say, give us the status of this person, whether this person is active or deactive, and what were the reasons for being deactive. Now, I can safely say the audit has revealed that there are members who are in the core service systems. So it's like he's still a serving member, but these are members who just left without a proper clearing out process or resigning, and they seem to be still current. And what we did, we are working with the chief paymaster, correctly referred to as Directorate Personnel Payments data section. We said, look for us any records that we can find here. And they brought back two of those members, but then we send it back for further investigation to say, we want to know the reasons why they are owing. Now, by implication, if a person who is a serving member decides to abscond or do not complete the process of clearing out, which in this regard seems to be the case, it means that this person could have been overpaid, or there could have been a reason why he was owing the money. And we have since sought clarity so that we put the reason why this person owes. But we can safely say it was very strange that then this person could not clear out properly, but was able to report it Umzimvubu. And that's why I can safely say, Chair, we have sent this for further clarity so that when we close the audit, we can give the proper accounting to say this is the reason, and before we then release the money, then we can recover the money. In terms of the prescribed recovery process, and we are simply doing that to piggyback on the decision of the Constitutional Court, which requires that before you take the money from any person, you must follow a prescribed process. Hence, these two members, Chair. I submit.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, if there's SecDef, anything to close this?
Thank you, Chair again and members of the committee. I'll just indicate that the matter was also referred to the legal services and Director of Prosecution. So who's going to advise on what we are going to do moving forward in terms of consequence management, and we will update the committee when that happens, Chair. But we are committing that we will make sure that there will be consequence management as the minister requires. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. No, thank you very much, colleagues. That takes care of this item. Let me thank you, Acting SecDef, the Chief of Staff, Chief HR, and Acting Deputy Chief Army for the presentation. And we will have another round of engagement, maybe before the end of our term, obviously after the 15th of March, just to get a sense of progress by then. So Brian, please take note of that. Mr. Murray?
Yes, just quickly, thank thank you for that. I'm glad and I support you in that call that we are being kept abreast so that we are diarising it until we know that this is off the books and that it has been dealt with. So thank you very much for that. Can I just, while Admiral Kubu is here, may I, submit just a question to him with regards to an HR matter?
We're dealing with Umzimvubu. Is it related to Umzimvubu?
No, it's not. It's something that has been in the news lately about the Air Force headquarters that has been closed by the Department of Labor.
Yeah. Chairperson,
Mothapo, can that be done offline, because we don't want our minutes to get mixed up. The item is Umzimvubu.
Okay, no problem.
Yes, I fully agree with you, Chair. I was coming to that.
Thank you very much, Mothapo. All right, colleagues, we are done with this item. Thank you very much, Team DOD. We can now move to the next item, but I'd said would take apologies. I apologize that I did not take apologies at the beginning. Apologies at the beginning. Brian, are there any apologies besides that of the minister that we have?
No, Chair. No, Chair, we do not have any more apologies.
Okay, no, thank you very much. That then takes us to the next item. The next item is will be presented by the AGs, the Office of the Auditor General. We had asked them to present to the committee their audit findings on Denel. Denel, for 3 years, they've not been submitting their financial statements for audit. And it became a concern to us as well, because the period of 3 years when they have not been submitting their financial audits, the Department of Defense was had a contract with Denel, particularly on the helicopter capability. And they were maintaining, we had 3 contracts with them. One for the ROIFAC, the second one for Oryx, and the third one for the C-130. And in the presentation they made to us when we visited them on the 31st of March last year, was it? I think it was on the 29th of March last year. We learned for the first time that in respect of ROIFAC, just ROIFAC, that contract, ROIFAC Combat Support Helicopter, between the 1st of April 2019 to the 31st of March 2022, the contract value for that period was 463 million rands. And that provided for fixed cost and on-demand services cost. However, in the period 2020 and 2021 to 2023, there had been no funding for on-demand services, and that AMSCO was negotiating on behalf of the department, and the department wasn't too happy with the price offered by Denel that appeared to be significantly higher than the previous contract value. So, so that was the contract value, which coincided with the period when Denel was not producing its financial statements for audit. For the audits, for the same period, 30 April 2019 to 31 March 2022, and extended to 30 September 2023, the contract value was 768 million rand. And there was 300 million rand from joint operations. Again, the same problem was that there was money for fixed cost, but there was less money for on-demand services. So we did not know what the allocation was buying, especially for the fixed cost, was buying for the defense force. We couldn't measure value for money, and because we were told this was for the fixed cost, is available, but when there is nothing for the on-demand services, it means that they would not be able to procure spares. The least they could do is to harvest parts from the other aircrafts, but if those parts were actually available. So that basically explained the situation that our aircrafts, especially these 3 aircrafts, were in. And compounding the effect was the lead time for the spare parts that was said to be between 12 to 18 months. That even if you were to get money for the on-demand services today, but chances are you may not get the spare parts within the first 12 months because they are generally not available. Not available because our aircrafts are too old and some parts are not in production, as it were. And so that's but we felt that given that there's money flowing from defense to Denel, there must be accountability on the part of Denel. We will not allow Denel to go scot-free, and not as a portfolio committee on defense. And it is in that context that we took interest in the financial statements of Denel. We know that they account to the Department of Public Enterprises, but insofar as we allocate, we give money to them, we can't look the other way. We must hold them to account. So I'm sure Ms. Soteti was listening, and it's now your opportunity to make your own comment as to how far that audit is, and when can we get the presentation on the 3 financial years. Thank you. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you. Good morning, Honorable Chair and honorable members. And also good morning to the Deputy Minister and all the invited guests. Chairperson, this morning I'm joined by my colleague, Mr. Fumulani Rabonda. He's the Deputy Business Unit Leader that looks after the Denel audit. He will then, Chairperson, speak to the letter that was provided as a response to the committee when we received this request. With your permission, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's grant him the opportunity to talk to us. Is your Deputy Mbali?
Chairperson, he's the Deputy Business Unit Leader in the AGSA, but is responsible for the Denel audit.
Oh, thank you very much. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Chair, and good morning to the members of the committee. Chair, thank you very much for the invite to engage with the members of the committee in a very important topic of accountability, as you have put it in your remarks around the delayed audits of Denel. We are fully aligned with the committee, with those sentiments, Chair. That is why when Denel started experiencing the challenges around their finances and the operational issues, which resulted in them failing to submit the financial statements for 3 financial years in a row. We have been making recommendations. We made recommendations to the board, made recommendations to the minister, and we made recommendations to the Portfolio Committee of Public Enterprises whenever we got a chance to do so, where we were saying there needs to be a deliberate effort around making sure that, or implementing measures to make sure that entities that fail to submit financial statements for auditing, they are held accountable. On the backdrop of that, Denel managed, after 3 years, to submit financial statements. They submitted financial statements last year for the 3 outstanding financial years, which is the financial years ended 31 March 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. So where we are as the AGSA, we can confirm that we are in possession of all the financial statements for the 3 outstanding years. We then started the audit in last year during the year 2023. And when starting the audit, we need to make a decision that says, do we do 1 year at a time, or do we audit all 3 years at the same time and issue the report at the same time? In engagement with Denel, we read the conclusion that says it will be better and more efficient to do all the years at the same time and issue the reports at the same time. So that's the approach that was then adopted. We then experienced challenges, both on the side of Denel and also on our side as the auditors, that the initially planned audit commission date of 13 November 2023, we couldn't reach it. We engaged internal Denel and also with the audit committee, and we agreed that to revise the timelines to 31 March 2024. So where we are sitting, Chair, we are all hands on the deck, working closely with management to finalize the audit by 31 March. What will then happen after that, Chair, will then be the AGM for those 3 years, which will be done through the Minister's office. And then once that is done, we'll then be in a position to engage with the Portfolio Committee or with other structures of Parliament around this outcome for these audits. I spoke about the delays, Chair, that were experienced, and I think it will be prudent just to highlight what type of delays are we talking about. So the first one was around system issues at Denel. We did experience a number of system challenges where the information that we're requesting to, as and when management was retrieving the information, there were system glitches, which caused delays on their side, and they requested extensions on the dead timeline to respond to those. Another challenge that caused some of the system challenges was the load shedding, because in some of the sites that we are auditing in Denel, they do not have backup power or sufficient backup power that whenever there's load shedding, they needed to, it caused delays on their side, and then they asked for extensions on terms of submitting the information. Another point was also on the Denel side was also around the capacity challenges. So the financial challenge that they experienced was then followed by exodus of staff, both on the technical side and also on the finance side. They lost a lot of skills. That is why currently, to be able to submit financial statements for auditing, they got assistance of consultants. So that loss of staff in the financial office and also in the operational offices, it caused it eroded in knowledge of people who knows about the systems of Denel, who knows about the records of Denel, and who would have made it easy for auditors to access those records. So retrieval of information is quite a big challenge, noting that people who know where those records are no longer part of the organization. And then on our side, Chair, it was a matter of us underestimating the learning curve that we'll need to go through in terms of introducing a new team to this very complex audit. Because when Denel failed to submit financial statements 2-3 years ago, we had to redistribute those people to other audits. A lot of them, we lost them as an organization. So when they submitted, we needed to reconstruct the audit team with totally new people who have never audited Denel before, because those ones who had been Denel before are no longer there. So that caused a lot of learning curve that we needed to do in terms of investment time, investment that we needed to make on learning on our people at the same time. So those delays, we had not factored them enough when we're doing the projection of the timelines. Chair, that is maybe what I thought I needed to give as an opening around the status of the audits. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mbali, do you want to conclude?
Chair, that will be our submission. We can then take any questions if there are on the submission. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. So that's the presentation from the AG's office on progress with respect to the 3 financial years that are being considered for Denel. Right. Let me just acknowledge, I saw some members of AMSCO here, board are present. At least I could recognize Square. Besides Crystal, who had introduced, but I don't know who else, but there's AMSCO as well. Maybe the group CEO is in the meeting, I don't know, but this is their line. It's either him or some members of his team. All right. I thought I should acknowledge their presence as well. Mr. Murray?
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you for the Auditor General and the team. I just want to add to what you have said, Chair, and this is a re-emphasization of that, is that remember the so-called PSS contracts. Without the PSS contracts in place, there are certain rights and obligations of Denel Aeronautics as the OEM of those 2 aircraft that you have mentioned. That has to be in place like with any other OEM. And that is not in place. And for that reason, there are various of our platforms, specifically the Royfok and most critically the Oryx, that is grounded at this stage. And we know that has got a major impact. They can't even get things like simple as a rotor head from Denel because the PSS contracts are not in place. And that means our most critical prime mission equipment for our soldiers, whether it is in South Africa, whether it's for disaster relief or firefighting, whether it is in Mozambique or in the DRC, are grounded. And by far most of the 39 Oryx helicopters are being impacted by that. But remember, it's not only about that. It's also about our landward equipment, and we know that Denel is the OEM of most of those vehicles, and it means that we cannot look after our ammunition systems, our weapon systems. So that's got a far bigger impact than only the Oryx and the Rayford, which is already critical. So we have to conclude this, and I know that it is the responsibility of Arms Corps that must conclude the contracts. And I often get the impression that Arms Corps is in the middle between the Air Force that wants to cut out both the Arms Corps and Denel, and wants to conclude their own maintenance contracts and upgrade contracts with outside parties. But we have to step in, and they will have to help us to get our defense force, in a more agile position that we can respond. Because remember, even the Denel PMP, who is producing bullets, is impacted by this. So we have to save some parts of the Denel for the best of our defense force and our defense capabilities. So my request will also be for Arms Corps, who is now present today, to also at one stage give us feedback from their point of view, because I really find it very, very frustrating that we have got Department of Public Enterprises, National Treasury, Department of Defense, and we can't find a solution between these parties. And we know that the deployments are taking place like never before. We have got about 12,000, 13,000 soldiers being committed currently to deployments inside South Africa and abroad. And that means times 3. So it has got a major impact. And if we can't support them with critical prime mission equipment, then we've got a major problem. So my request to the Auditor General is that this must be a high priority task. And we have to get feedback as soon as possible. And then, government must decide what they really want to do, but hopefully they will take our recommendations in consideration, because we act in the best interests of the Defence Force and our defence capabilities in South Africa. Thank you, Chair.
Yes, I think the point Mbali Toteti, Mr. Murray emphasizes is that exist mainly for the Defence Force, to support the Defence Force, and that the liquidity challenges that they are facing also impact negatively on their maintenance and service contracts they have with AMSCO on behalf of the Department of Defense. But of course, compounding these liquidity challenges is the accountability that you've just explained now, that it's largely as a result of capacity challenges in that department. But as a portfolio committee, with all the contracts that they have, that they hold for the Department of Defense, we want to see value for money. We want to see a rand value, a rand giving us, we want to see a rand giving us a rand value. But we can only get that information if they are open to us, if they lay their books, financial statements open to us and the public, because we are looking after the purse of the people of South Africa. And we can't look the other way. We've got to face the problem. If there's a challenge, we must see that challenge addressed. Because if it's not addressed, then Denel is going to go down with the Defence Force. That's our worry. Right? Having said that, I don't know who would want to make a comment on this. I don't want anyone to say, look, If he was given a chance, he or she was given a chance, would have said one or two things to clarify one or two points. That is before I asked the Deputy Minister to say one or two things. Acting Secretary, do you want to say one or two things?
No, Chair. I'm okay.
Okay.
Chief of Staff might want to say something.
No, Chairperson, I think we are fine. I think we are fine, Chairperson. You have emphasized on the points really that are very critical. So there is nothing more to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And anyone on the part of the AMSCO?
No, Chair, thank you very much.
Nothing. All right.
Good morning, Chair. This is
Advocate.
Chair, I think what we would like to indicate is that we had given a commitment that there will be a follow-up meeting last week on Thursday, where I met the Chief of the Air Force. The issues around Denel's offer. The Air Force were to now, we found each other, Chair, I must say. All what was required was an official response to Denel's offer by the Air Force. And there was a commitment made to us that we will get the official Air Force response before the end of this week. That we can then communicate, if accepted by Denel. That will mean, therefore, the funds can be transferred to AMSCO. We then are able to contract them. So that's where we are. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. That's the latest on the maintenance contracts, and the standoff that was largely due to the Department of Defense not happy with the price that Denel was offering. All right, so we'll leave it at that for now. DM, it's opportunity to just comment, to make your final comments on the two issues we've just transacted.
No, Chair, thank you very much, and to honorable members of the committee for the exchange we have had this morning on the business of our department. I want to say, Chair, in relation to the audits of Denel, as commented upon by AGSA, the Ministry of Public Enterprises would be a better place to comment from an oversight, political oversight viewpoint on the matters raised by AGSA. I would prefer to respect that, and that I think going forward in keeping the oversight of defense in the loop about this, when the report of AGSA on Denel is shared with the portfolio committee, that the Ministry of Public Enterprises be invited to be part of the meeting. That's what I have noted. to be something we may want to consider as the comments were made by AGSA. There, of course, you see, we are, as honorable members have already pointed out, we are stakeholders in the matter, but from the point of view of the services that the Denel is rendering to us. The challenges about how its business is handled belongs to our colleagues in public enterprises. That's what I would say, and I would leave it there, Chair and honorable members. The point about the earlier presentation on Umzimvubu, I think all the right things and advice on what should happen going forward has been shared in this meeting. I want to say that members have noted good things about that report, but also challenges. And the good things, as far as I am concerned, Chair, from the Umzimvubu update is that the details suggest that we can be happy with the management system of the Department of Defense with respect to how the resources are managed. That the system it's tight. It's a tight system, and as the chief of HR has said himself, that they forced the system to solve the problem that Umzimvubu created. And in forcing the system, you can see that a lot of things had to be done. So the system is fault-proof. They are doing what the system is not allowing them to do. And that is why the whole exercise is as difficult as it is. I think that gives one comfort in that respect. Of course, there is a point that members should have taken note of, which is that overall the Umzimvubu debacle has extenuating circumstances, but it also has aggravating circumstances. And I'm here referring to the fact that Chair, there is a submission that the spur of the moment under which the command acted, it's something that we must take into consideration. That the situation they were responding to at some levels within the DOD, within the SANDF, it created some panic. And unfamiliar things happened because of that element of panic that seemed to have crept in. But there are also, there's an aspect that speaks to wrong things procedurally that have happened and for which the officers involved should be taken, should be made to account for. And that, for me, speaks to two areas that are glaring errors that happened and for which there must be consequences, because we are talking about a military establishment. The violation of standing operational procedures, it's just not pardonable. These members came to Umzimvubu and remained in Umzimvubu for days. When the practice, when you look at their own procedures, is that before certain things that happened with them when they were there could be accommodated, there are steps that should have prevented the spending of resources on people who are not according to the books qualifying to have been at Umzimvubu. But they remained at Umzimvubu, catering and allowances had to be paid in complete violation of standing procedures. But not only that, there was also a highly questionable decision taken that the committee that is responsible for the finances of Umzimvubu that must sign expenditure, we are told in that report that that committee, the people who are amending it, were put aside and you had other officials appointed to be the ones responsible for the releasing of the funds for that mobilization. So those are very clearly aggravating, factors as far as the whole saga is concerned, and that is why consequence management becomes a very important aspect, as Honorable Marais pointed out, of the report of the department with respect to what is happening going forward. That aspect of consequence management cannot be left cannot be left behind, because in a military environment, an irregularity of this nature happens. For 3 years, the officers involved still are in their positions, positions of authority. Of course, it is damaging to keeping an environment where there is discipline. And it sends a very wrong message. So in that, with respect to that, indeed, there are aggravating factors that calls for very swift decisions to be taken in relation to consequence management. Consequence management, the regularizing of the remuneration of these people can understandably, take us much longer. But consequence management, it's a military establishment we are talking about, must be swift and be, such that you do not create precedents that would lead to the deterioration of levels of discipline. That's what I would say, honorable members, in relation to the first item that the meeting today dealt with. Chair, I submit.
Thank you very much, dear. You are spot on. You are spot on. We are not overlooking the fact that there's got to be accountability. We hope the department is attending to that by the time we ask them to come and present on the steps they've taken to rein in all those who were found to be acting outside the prescripts, they are ready to present. So we will take a presentation at some point in the future. It's just that our time is running out. It's a pity, but we hope that even if we don't come back in the 7th term, but the new parliament will still follow through these issues. And because I guess there would not have been, even the payment would not have been concluded by the time the new parliament comes into office. I'm sure they would have an interest on why we're to spend this money, why we're to go all through this process of regularization, what happened to the people who forced the department into such a position. Thank you very much for that, colleagues. I think we've come to the end of our meeting, but of course we still have one item remaining, the minutes, and then we close the meeting. But I wish to thank the DM, the acting SecDef, and the team, the chief of the staff, chief HR, and the DOD, the defense team, AMSCO, COO, group COO, and the team, and Mbali Tsotetsi, business executive, Auditor General of South Africa, and the team. Thank you very much. And we wish you well as you leave the platform, and we'll then move to the next item. Brian, how many minutes? How many sets?
We have 4 sets, Chair.
No, so many. All right.
That is correct.
Still have time. First, okay, let's start with the first one. Colleagues, this is the first set, 23 November. We're looking at the committee budget review and BRRR on the DMV and the BRRR on the DOD and the minutes. So this is the attendance. And then we go to page 2. Please check if there are any corrections to be effected. Go to page 3. Any corrections? Oh, that was the end. All right. Colleagues, these are the minutes. I present them for adoption. And can I get a mover and a seconder?
I move
for adoption, Chair.
Thabo Muthle moves, and then Mr. Mares seconds. They are duly adopted. Thank you very much. Brian, let's move to the second set. Mr. Bond is in the meeting. He did not introduce.
Hello?
Someone is breaking away. I think, Chair, it's you.
Your line is bad. We seem to be losing you. Mr. Mutle, can I perhaps request that you take over from the chair? We seem to have lost the chair.
Okay, no, it's fine. Brian, we can proceed from this point. We're on the first page. You can move to the next page. These are points from the AG and the deliberations, considerations of reports, consideration of oversight reports, consideration of Loatla report, and lastly is the resolution of the committee before the closing remark by the chair. And the meeting was then adjourned at 1:30. Honorable members, any input, correction? If none, can we move for the adoption of these sets of minutes?
Pehle moves for the adoption of the minutes, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Pehle moves. Can I have a seconder? Can we have a seconder for those minutes?
Yeah, I was not at that meeting, so I cannot second.
Oh, okay. There's a hand of Honorable Bond.
Second.
Honorable Bold is seconding. The minutes are duly adopted. Brian, you'll guide if that was the last set. Oh, there's another set of minutes for the 14th of February. You can scroll, Brian. The minutes have disappeared. Am I audible, members?
Yes, you are.
Brian, are you having some challenges?
Yeah, my apologies.
No, thank you. There we go. They are now beamed. That was the attendance. We can move to the next page. The chair opened and introduced. Their apologies accepted. We received a briefing from DMV. Yeah, you can go ahead. I think DMV on the pension payouts. And then we had deliberation on the presentation. Got an input from the TM. Briefing by DMV on their vacancies. Briefing on their third quarter report. We also received feedback from them on the BRRR. We then deliberated on those presentations. There was a correspondence and then a resolution and action of the committee. You can scroll down. The chair closed the meeting.
Which was used, and I propose for the acceptance.
Okay, no. Thank you very much. Honorable Marais moves. Can we get the seconder?
Mafanya seconds.
Honorable Mafanya second. The minutes are duly adopted. Thank you very much. Brian, that was the last, ne?
No, it wasn't. We have one more.
We've got another one. Okay, let's move. Means we have not been adopting minutes in the past three or four consecutive meetings. Honorable Mare?
I just say that we must have some sanctions against Brian, because, I mean, you know, where's the consequence management now? I'm just joking.
Yeah, no. We must apply consequence management. We can't have 4 meetings in a row, Brian, and you don't bring these minutes. On a lighter note. Okay, this is the last set meeting was held on the 21st of February, where we received a third quarter expenditure report and feedback from AMSCO. That was the attendance, apologies, and then briefing by DOD on the third quarter expenditure. We also received the feedback on the BRRR and then deliberated on that, as well as feedback on the BRRR. The committee interacted with those presentation. The DM also was present, made an input or closing remark, and then the resolution were then taken by the committee. The chair then closed the meeting. It was then adjourned at 12:40. Any input, correction? If none, we'll move for adoption.
Pehle moves for adoption, Chair.
Honorable Pehle moves. Thank you very much. Any seconder?
Mafanya seconds.
Honorable Mafanya second. The minutes are duly adopted. Thank you very much, colleagues. That was the last set, Brian?
That is correct, Acting Chair.
Yes, and the last item on the agenda.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Brian, and thank you very much, honorable members. On behalf of the chair, I wish to thank you for your participation.
Chair?
Honorable Bond.
Sorry, obviously I'm new, so you know, a lot of the information that has been shared over the last while is all historical, and I really, you know, I'm only learning the procedures and that now at the moment. But Mr. Murray, the Honourable Murray, did bring up the issue of that issue earlier. Can that be maybe put on the agenda for the next meeting, please?
Yeah, I think Honorable Bond, the chair, and there was no dissenting view. They said they will take the matter offline. I think if I got it correctly, Honorable Mare, and see how it finds its way, if it must find its way into the agenda.
Thank you.
I think if I've captured, that's what I've heard.
Chairperson, that was the
Honorable Mare.
ruling by the chair. Thank you, Chair. Chairperson, that was the ruling by the chair at this stage. However, I do believe it is not something that you can just, you know, it's not something between me and the chief of HR. So it's not a personal matter. It is something that is of great concern. You know, the state of the headquarters of South African Air Force, which has been closed down by the Department of Labour. And obviously there are major problems. We know that the whole the lifts are not working. We know that the air conditioning system and the cooling system is not working. So it has got major impact for our defense readiness. And I do believe that we have to put it onto the agenda, and that we have to get presentations from them. So I'll appreciate that very much. Thank you.
No, thank you, Honorable Mare, and may you mute Honorable Bond. Please mute.
Give me a few minutes.
Can you, Brian, mute Honorable Bond? No, it's not. It's noted. It's noted, Honorable Mare. The matter, probably the ruling of the chair. I don't want to preempt, but seated where I'm seated is because it's a new matter that we need to pursue, and you are correct. But we'll have platforms. Remember the last time, Honorable Mare, we proposed that we need to have a closed session with DOD and the leadership of SANDF. I believe that the ruling of the chair will also give a way for your submission into the matter finding its way into the agenda, whether in the closed session meeting or in the open meeting, but we know the process of how the items must find their way into the agenda, and there should not be any assumption of suspicion of any sort in terms of the ruling of the chair. But the matter, I agree with you. We need to engage and find out what really transpired. But let's use proper channel to get these issues into the agenda. So I think we're in agreement. It's not, I agree with you, it's not a matter between yourself and the Chief HR. It is the matter that must be of concern to the committee, and we must find out from the relevant authorities in the DOD or in the Defense Force. So let's find a proper way of channeling or channeling it into the agenda item, whether in the open session or in the closed session. But I'm confident that the closed session will be able to cover quite a substantive, large number of areas or enough ground, because we might have the whole day to engage with the leadership of the department. So with that said, I'm not dismissing any fact, and I'm not shutting you down, Honorable Male. I'm only advising that let's follow the proper channels to ensure that all these matters find their way into our agenda items and discussed properly. So with that said,
thank you, can I just say thank you? Much appreciated. I just thought that, you know, the committee meeting, the official committee meeting is the right forum to raise it, so that we can schedule it for some time and to get feedback. And remember, this is already in the public domain. So it's already in the newspapers, already in Defense Web. So we read about that and we are confronted by that, and we want to act in the best interest of the Defense Force under the circumstances. But thank you very much. Much appreciated.
All right, no, thank you very much. I think I was on the point of adjourning the meeting. I think we have dealt with that matter, and we will deal with it in a manner that is appropriate. With that said, honorable members, I don't want to prolong this meeting. We have exhausted the agenda item. It's for me to thank you on behalf of the chair for your participation and indulgence and your patriotism. Thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned.
Thanks. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Recording stopped.